Okay, so today we're going to be looking at increasing our tacking success rate in very light winds. Yes, hello, it's Joe here for Joyrider TV. Yes, the wind is very light. I am guessing it is about 4 knots wind speed. We're out on a Hobie 16 solo, as always. The solo 16 I'm taking as the standard for these videos, as you may have noticed. Okay, so there's a few things, key points that we should look at when we're going to be looking at tacking, not just in light winds but in any winds. The first thing that we want to look at before we even think about tacking is our course. Where are we going? So we establish the course upwind by looking at the jib. We're looking at the telltales on the jib, and in the very light wind we want to have these telltales both flying straight back when the jib is pulled in pretty tight. So when I say pretty tight, I could pull it in all the way, but we don't want it that tight, so we're just going to ease it a little bit from there. That's going to put a bit more shape into the jib. So number one is the course, making sure those telltales flying straight back. If the inside telltale starts lifting, we need to turn away from the wind by pulling the stick towards us. And then if the outside telltale starts lifting, we're just going to bring the boat back up towards the wind until they both fly straight back like that. Okay, so once we've established our course, we want to keep the boat on that course. We then want to look at the area that we're going to tack into, which is over here, making sure there's nothing that's going to be in the way or we're going to hit. And then before we go into the tack, we're going to bring in the main sheet fairly tight and then just steer her up into the wind, staying in the same position, watching the jib. When the jib backs, that is action time. We're going to let the main off. The more we let the main off, the more our success rate is going to be. And then once we're in this position, we can then very easily move across the boat, swinging the stick out wide. And then once we're on the new side, we can just let the jib fly across if possible to the new side. If the jib does get stuck on the mast, then just pushing the bottom batten is the appropriate technique. Okay, so when we're sailing along before the tack, something else we could look at is where are we going to sit on the boat. The better our trim is on the boat, the more forward motion we're going to have. So in very light winds, we want to get as far forwards as possible, but if we're about to tack, then I'd say about level with the shroud is good, because that is far forwards, but then we're still not going to find it too difficult to move across the boat. So this time we're going to introduce one extra element in the tack, and that is getting our legs in a good position to move across the boat. So if you can, before you go for the tack, just tuck your back leg under your front leg like this, and that's going to easily put you into a good position to move across the boat. It's going to just put you onto your knees. All right, so once again, we're looking at our course, making sure that the telltales are flying correctly on the jib when the jib is in. Next, we're going to bring the main sheet in a little bit more, but not so much that we slow down a lot. And what we can do is we can take the main sheet out of the cleat and hold it. So now we're going to push the boat up into the wind, and we're going to stay in this same position, watching the jib. Jib backs, we're going to let off a load of main sheet. I'm even pulling the boom here to encourage the main sheet to come out a bit more. Can then move across the boat, swinging the stick out wide like that, looking forwards as soon as possible, And now that we're definitely through the wind, we can bring the jib to the new side. Again, sheeting it in the same amount. And then we adjust the sails afterwards. And again, getting forwards is going to give us greater performance in the light winds on all points of sail, in fact. Okay, we'll go for another one. So, checking the course, checking where we're going to tack into, make sure there's no obstructions there, and then bringing the main sheet in fairly tight, uncleat it, sort out the legs, pushing away, watching the jib, and the jib has backed, pulling the main sheet out. We're through the wind. I can move across the boat. Sitting down on the new side. We're definitely through the wind, so I can now bring the jib across. If the battens don't go past the mast, don't try to force them through with the sheet. Much better off just going forwards, grabbing the bottom batten, pushing it forwards, and that will help it to go around. Now just sheeting in a bit again, getting her going. All right, another tack. Here we go. Watching the course, checking the area, sorting out the legs, sheeting in a bit but uncleating, and then pushing away, watching the jib. Jib's backing, so I'm letting the main sheet off a lot. We can then move across the boat. I've just abandoned the main sheet at this point, picking up the sheet on the way through, sitting down on the new side and looking forwards, pulling the jib. Okay, it's not going, so I'm going to push that bottom batten, help it to go across, and then re-trimming the main. Last one we're going to do, checking the course with the telltales, tucking the back leg, sheeting in the main and holding it, and now going to push away, watching the jib. I didn't check the area, letting the mainsail off, coming across the boat. I've abandoned the mainsail at this point, picking it up as we go through, looking forward straight away, and pulling the jib in on the new side. Just one small point with the amount that you release the main sheet. It is the more that you release the main sheet, the higher your success rate is going to be. But if you want to get better exit speed from your tack, so if you're wanting to refine your tacks, don't sheet out the main as much. As you get more confident, start sheeting out less and less main sheet, and that means you'll come out of the tack with more speed. There we go. Okay, so I think that pretty much covers tacking. Thanks very much for watching. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and I'll either answer in the comments or in the Q&A on Friday. Otherwise, thanks to everybody who's been supporting the channel. If you didn't know, I have got a page on Patreon where you can support Joyrider TV. If you're finding these videos useful, just head over there. All the details are there, and any support is greatly appreciated. But thanks very much. I'll be back soon with some more on Joyrider TV.